Hey guys, welcome and welcome back. So we're gonna jump right into this video. So here you see I've already laid out my tips, which are long coffin shape. I didn't know if I wanted to do them like square or coffin, but either way, I believe it should still work for the look we're going for. So I'm taking a regular scissors and I'm just trimming the tips off into the shape of the lipstick, which is like an angle shaped tip. And just trying to get everything as even as possible so they're all pretty much the same length and they all have that angle look to them. So once I'm good with that, the next step will be to blend the tip with the natural nail. So that's what you see that I'm doing here. I'm just taking it's a 180 sanding band, or whatever it's called, nail drill bit, and I'm just lightly going over the part where the tip and the natural nail meets, because you tend to have a little bit of a hump, that unevenness, so we're just blending it down to make everything smooth and even together. And that's what I'm doing. Very gentle, low speed. You don't want to damage the natural nail. You know, it is a thin tip. It's very easy to file it off and then damage your natural nail. So again, very gently. Also, what you notice here is that I'm using it and going in the corners of the sidewall, because sometimes the tips tend to point out. I don't trim the pointy parts on my tips, so I usually just kind of file them and blend them down, and that's what I'm doing. Once I've blended everything together, I'm gonna go in now and just buff off the tip to get rid of the shiny part and just touch up my shape, you know, make sure it looks smooth and neat. This will also help when I apply my product, you know, and then when I need to file at the end. So the shape is pretty much already there. It's just touching it up. Again, we just want to remove the shine, not much to do. We remove the shine so that when we apply the products, it will adhere better to the actual tip, because we don't want any lifting to come. All right, so once I'm done with that, the next step is gonna be going in with a hand file. And what I do is I just kind of go in and file along the sidewalls just to make sure everything's like blended and lined up with the sidewalls and the nail and the tip. It does look like I'm doing it kind of rough, but I did speed up the video a little bit, but it's very gentle, because again, you don't want to hurt yourself, damage yourself or your nail. You just want to make sure everything is lined up and neat and you have that shape snatched. So I'm just going to do that to all the nails. Also smooth the tip, just, you know, get everything looking as perfect as it possibly can for the beginning step. This also helps, like sometimes if you have glue stuck down on the sidewalls, you know, it also helps get rid of that. I mean, the sanding band helps a bit, but I find like this gets a little more in the curve, in the creases. So, all right, so I'm brushing off the dust because we don't want dust. Then I'm going to go in first with my dehydrator. That dehydrator is from Neon Pink. And I'm just gonna apply that only to the natural nail. And this is to help remove any oils, dust that's remaining on the nail. It's literally dehydrating your nail, so it's just like a clean slate. This product doesn't need to be cured. Once it's dry, then I go in with primer. This primer is also from Neon Pink. but I believe, you know, any primer. I had a different primer that I was using. I think it was from a cart, and that's finished, so I'm using this one now. Again, just applying it to the natural nail. Try to keep it away from your skin, and then you let that air dry. Primer does dry with a sticky layer on it, so you have to be careful when you have primer on. It can still attract dust and lint because it is sticky. All right, so the next step is going in with some base coat, and we're going to cover the complete nail from cuticle to nail tip with an even thin layer of base coat. And once I'm done with that, make sure we clean up the sidewalls so we don't have any base coat flooding. Give it a cure for 60 seconds. So now I'm gonna go in with this polygel. It's called Flamingo. It's from the Birds of Paradise kit. A very nice, bright neon, call it Barbie pink. The brush that I'm using is a brush that I got off, I believe, Amazon or Shein. One of them, I don't remember. It was a set of like a bunch of brushes, but this one is a number 12. I find the bigger brushes tend to help with my application a lot better. And so yeah, so what I'm doing now is I'm kind of flattening the polygel. I'm actually going to try to do this with one bead. So as you saw, I started off with like a dollop and I brought it down. So pressing it from side to side, moving it upwards towards the cuticle, keeping the thickness upwards because we want that apex, but thinning it out around the cuticle because we don't want it thick around the cuticle. Okay, so covering the side walls, the cuticle area, keeping it thin, and then lightly bringing the tip of that lump at the top downward and shaping our apex. Constantly going around with the brush to make sure that it's not on my skin, it's not flooding my cuticle or sidewalls. And for slip solution, I'm using 90% isopropyl alcohol, if I said that correctly. Yep. So pretty much that's what I'm doing. I also like to wet my, once I get everything like positioned how I like to wet my brush and then just go over everything. To me, it kind of smooths out the polygel, gives it a nice, smooth, fresh look. And then I just use the side of the brush and just chop off the end to give it like a clean chop, right? Tap it into place. Once I'm happy with how I look, with how it looks, I put it for a cure. Again, I'm doing the same thing with the one bead method. Two bead method is good, especially if you have like really long nails. So the first bead would be for the tip, and then the second bead for the cuticle and apex. But I think I did pretty well with the one bead. I got the shape, I got the apex. I was okay with it. So, I mean, whatever works for you and you're comfortable with. And here you see me again, just kind of bringing down that bulk very lightly, only at the edge of it. We don't want to bring the whole bulk down because we want the bulk in that position of the nail to support it for strength. That is the apex. And making sure the sidewalls are covered. You know, make sure we have it nicely thinned out at the cuticle. And trying to get the application and shape as smoothly and neat as possible will also help minimize the amount of filing needed at the end. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of let you guys watch that. And again, once I'm done with the application, I give it a 60-second cure. I also notice with these more darker colors, sometimes they take longer to properly cure, so sometimes I have to double up the time. Usually it's 60 seconds. Sometimes I go in for an extra 30 just to make sure. Okay, so this is what they're looking like. I've already did all of them off camera. And the next step would be well, I've cleaned them off because, you know, polygel cures with a sticky layer. And now I'm pulling the skin away from the sides of the polygel. Here I noticed there's a little spot that didn't cure too well, and it kind of rubbed out when I started to file. So I'm just gonna go in and fill it quickly. And one thing I like about this polygel, even though you cure it, it's so easy to just add more and then just blend it in. And it's like it was never there. So that's what you see I'm doing here. I'm just quickly, you know, just putting a little bit on the side and then blending it to make it all look smooth and even. So I'm gonna give that a quick cure, which I did off camera. And now we're gonna go in with the hand file. And again, this is just to christen up the shape, make sure everything is neat. Try to like bring it down as close to the actual nail shape tip. You want sidewalls, you want them nice and straight. You know, make sure everything's off the skin. You know, christen up the actual tip. And I go around the cuticle, make sure, you know, everything is away from your skin. And yeah, and then I just start filing over just to kind of even out the top. Like I said, because I've paid attention to how I was putting the polygel on, there's not really much any lumps and stuff to file down. It's pretty smooth and even. So I'm just giving it a light file. Here I just changed my grit on my hand file. The one I was using, I believe, was 150. And I wanted something just a little bit more coarse, so I got a 100. And now I'm just going in and just blending everything over, you know, giving it a nice file, smoothing everything out. And once I'm done with that, I'll do the same to all the other nails. So this will also make sure that, again, everything is even and smooth. There's no hidden dips or bumps, because once you're ready to apply your nail gel polish or whatever, you don't want those dips and stuff, you know, sticking out. So just filing to get everything have that even kind of dusty. Do you notice how the polygel is turning like grayish white, because I'm obviously filing away. So if you see spots that still look like the bright pink, it's because it's not even. So you want everything to be one solid coat, if that makes sense. Polygel is very soft when filing, so it is very easy to kind of file off too much than you want. So you got to keep in mind and be aware of that too when you're filing. Sometimes it's better to add a bit extra and then bring it down to where you want it, then to apply it less and you file away too much. So this is what they're looking like, all filed up. Now we're ready to go in with our design. So I did wipe off all the dust with some alcohol, and now we're going to start off with the aura effect. I'm using a purple gel paint and a gold gel paint. And what we're going to do is, I know a lot of people use airbrush, but I'm going to try to do it manually with using like a sponge and kind of like that ombre dabbing effect to create this aura look. So I'm gonna go in first with the purple. So I have the makeup wedge. Sorry, I didn't show you guys a good picture of it. But you get them at Dollar Tree, Dollarama. They're just the simple like makeup sponge wedges that you use to apply makeup. And I'm gonna cut it into like a little square piece because we don't need much. You just want a little corner of the sponge. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna dab it into the gel paint, but then I'm gonna dab it on the paper towel because I don't want it soaked, right? That way when I'm applying it, it doesn't come heavy. We wanna start light, as you see here. very, very light, and then build. So I'm just lightly dabbing it. If there's spots that I find that look too heavy, I'm just taking my finger, because I have gloves on. Or you could use the other side of the sponge and just dab away the excess gel paint, which I'm doing right now. So yeah, once I'm happy with how it looks, again, start off light, because you know, you want to have that very like kind of faded, you know, it's deep in the center, faded out around the edges. So very light going around, because I will be going back in with another color for the center. Okay, so I'm gonna do this to all the nails except for the ring finger, because that will be my accent nail. But again, just randomly, you know, try to keep it in a certain shape. Trying to go for like kind of like an oval kind of look. And yeah, so I'll let you just watch me do that. All right, so I'm gonna go in now with some gold gel paint, and to kind of highlight that purple blush look or aura. And it's literally the same thing. All right, so this is what the nails are looking like. So now I'm gonna focus on my accent nail, which is my ring fingernail. I'm gonna be using the rhinestone gel glue and some glitters I have here, pink and purple. And I'm gonna blend them together to get one glitter product with the blended purple and pink, and apply that to my nails. So here I'm just pouring them out into a little container, and then I'm going to stir them to kind of mix it, blend it together. And yep, now I'm going to apply the gel glue on the entire nail surface, and I'm not going to cure this while the gel glue is still wet. I'm going to add the glitter to cover the entire nail. So at first I tried like kind of dipping it in, as you see here. Wasn't really coming out as I would like, so I decided that I'm just gonna pour it directly onto the nail. And then what I'll do is pour it on, tap it off, the excess, repeat until I get it fully covered the way I like. Tap off whatever excess, and then I will give it a full 60-second cure in the light. Okay, so that's what you see that I'm doing here. And this is what it looks like, cured. So now, finishing product will be adding top coat. And this is what I'm doing here. And I'm only applying the top coat to all the nails except for the ones with the glitter. Those don't need top coat. And that's what you see me doing here. And once it's all applied, then again, a full 60-second cure in my LED lamp. And that's it. So I'll let you guys take a look at that. And this is what the finished product looks like. I am loving the outcome of these lipstick Barbie pink glitter aura nails. I hope you guys are loving it as much as I did. And thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.